G Money. G Money's not here. What's up, man? G Money's sick right now. He got the COVID virus, so I'ma hold it down. Queenzflip, I'm here. I'm in the building. I feel good. Shout out to Queenzflip Jr. Shout out to Smooth. Shout out to Michelle. Shout out to Basky. Shout out to the whole team in the building. Shout out to Queen and G Blacks too for fighting and the nigga shit that they conducted on the couple hour, but we'll get into that. I feel good. My weekend was great. Michelle, how was your weekend? I didn't ask you. Everything was good. You know, everything is a blessing. We just trying to go to the next level. G Money, get well. We can't wait till you get back. It's lonely at the top. Pause. That sounded crazy, right? That sounded crazy? You know, I got a special guest here, but I can't do it by myself. I can't do the G Money episode. I can't do that. I can't do it. I can't do it. It don't feel right? So I go.
Unique. Make it unique.
Make it unique, you sure? Congratulations to you, Michelle. Michelle is now the current producer of the platform. She produces the show, The Couples Hour. She's going to be producing other shows. So I've been seeing the footage. You've been doing a great work. How do you feel?
I love it. It's so fun. I love the content. The comments from the people watching live, they love it.
And you've been receiving donations behind my back and haven't been checking in.
I'm trying to make up for.
You were part of a fight as well, yes?
No.
You wasn't?
I was not a part of anything.
Did you participate?
Participate in a fight? No.
What handle did you
I'm a diffuser.
you diffused the fight?
I'm a diffuser.
Did you separate them?
I am a separator.
Episode 188, nigga, we made it. We got a special guest. I don't know why he put the mask on. Hey, miss, you got to take the mask off, man, so you can talk. He got the mask on. The OG. He just threw it right off.
Her.
Yeah, he just nah, you good. We got a special guest. Miami, where you from?
Miami, Florida.
Miami, Florida. My man. We need to hear the applause. My man, Marvin Griffin. Yeah! Get out of here. Welcome to Flip the Script. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm good, man. I'm blessed, man. Good to be here.
It's your first time in New York?
Actually, it is.
Okay.
Actually, it is my first time, and I'm gonna tell you, I want to thank y'all for inviting me here on your platform, man. I'm humble to be here. Grateful.
Thank you. No problem.
You know,
Let me fix this. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm listening. Go ahead.
just a few months ago, I was sitting in prison. You know, so you know, I came here on a wing and a prayer, man. I just wanted to come here and share my story with you. I as many times I laid up at night dreaming about moments like this. So I'm deeply grateful to you, man.
I appreciate
Mr. Basky for getting me here.
A lot of people like Basket. I'm trying to get rid of him too. Yeah.
Nah, the Basky is very professional.
Wow.
You know, patient. I mean, the whole time he spoke with me, he was real professional. So you gotta keep your jewels with you. You know, you can't give your jewels away.
I appreciate that. I
You know what I'm
appreciate that.
saying?
It means a lot.
He was really professional.
So you're from Miami, Florida, yes? You got how long you were in prison for?
Unfortunately, 23 years, 2 months, and 20 days.
And you just came home 2021 or 2020?
2020, December 11th is when I got released.
You got released.
October 30th of 1997 is when I got picked up.
Okay.
But my case is actually from 95, but I went on the run for 2 years. You know, they couldn't catch me, so I got caught in 97.
So
It's a big old story behind my that, but
No, I definitely want to get into that, man. I read the notes. Shout out to Shan. Shout out to Michelle. Shout out to everyone that's been providing notes and all that. And we went through it, man. But before we get into what's going on, tell me about your childhood.
well, my childhood is like any other childhood of when you come up in an impoverished neighborhood, black man, black child.
Mm-hmm.
It follows the same script. You know, you the old schools are the ones you look up to.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty soon they teach you, they run you around, and you soon, before you know it, you become what you envy and either what you envy or what you despise.
Mm-hmm.
You become that person, you know, who the hustlers, the gangbangers. Well, it wasn't no too many in Miami. When I came up, we didn't have a lot of gangs. Just had sets. But it's about any other story. Impoverished, you know, broken family. Not my family wasn't broken, but the streets raise you. In so many words, you know. The old coons, they raise you, and I can't say I started off early being bad, so you know it wasn't hard. It wasn't easy to influence me. You know, I think I probably in school I started basically fighting. You know, doing the little juvenile stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All of us get, well, not all of us. Most of us get stealing, robbing. But the robbing didn't start till later on when I got probably like in junior high school. I started robbing. You know, in Miami we had this big thing about tourist robberies.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever heard about it, but in the 80s, tourist robberies were big for young cats like me. So I came up robbing tourists, and I think I might have like in 1987. I probably was like 19 years old. We had a high-speed chase, me and my friends, and was a fatal accident, and like I lost 3 of my friends. And instead of that stopping me, it kind of made me even wilder. So
real quick, you know, when I like details. So before I get into that story, tell me about your home though. You know, mom and pops. What did mom do? Was pops around?
My pops wasn't around, but I had a stepfather figure.
Okay, where was your father?
My mother left my father probably at a. I was young. I never knew him.
Okay.
As a father. My stepfather's what I knew as a father.
Okay, so have you ever met your real father or no?
I met my real father, but I never really considered him as my father. My stepfather was who I seen there most of the time. My father was, that's your daddy, you go see him. That type of thing. And I might have seen him a couple times. But far as parental, I received that from my stepfather.
And how was he as a parent? Was your stepfather a good parent, or was he rough?
He was rough. He was a big guy, and he was rough. And I think when I look back on those days, I didn't think he was rough intentionally. I think he was more so rough because he was raising this family that wasn't his, and he kind of felt in some ways that he wasn't appreciated. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And kids can be like that when they're young. You're not my daddy. You know what I'm saying? So I think in the midst of him raising us and being involved with my mother, he may have gotten that type of response from us, and that made him kind of rough on us. And as children, I don't think we understood the impact or effect that may have on someone that's not your father, but in love with your mother, and has to accept you because he's accepting your mother. So we don't see that. You know what I'm saying? At least some of us don't. You know what I'm saying? But my brothers, they was really rebellious against him. When I look at me, I don't think I was rebellious against him to the extent they were. Mm-hmm. I think he kind of took me in more so than him, but it wasn't like a father thing where he sat down and would talk to me like a child. It was just, we was cool. Yeah, you there for me, I'm there for you. That's how it is. But as far as sitting me down and giving me the rules or the comfort of a father, you know, you're gonna receive your son. We didn't have that. But putting food on the table, keeping a roof over your head, that was there. And what happens is, if a man accept a woman and she have other children, that's a hell of a burden and accept a responsibility he's doing.
Facts.
So that says a lot about who he is.
His character.
His character.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And you ain't gonna find too many men, especially my mother. My mother might have had 5 children when she met my stepfather.
Mm.
And they rolled out for years. Probably like 30, 35, 30, 40 years. Both of them passed while I was in prison, but it's an amazing thing. And what happened was, I kind of like adapt that same quality that he had, because I met a woman that had several children, but her children and our relationship wasn't like my stepfather's children and us. Mm-hmm. And I think that has a lot to do with too, the kind of like, you know, different time and that type of thing. But
was he nice to your mom?
Fairly so. I mean, yeah, he was nice to my mom, but I can't ever recall the time I ever seen him and my mother fighting or arguing. But I know he was a street guy. Street guy meaning not like hustling street, but, you know, did his thing with women. You know what I'm saying? But my mama was old school. She was one of those mothers. As long as he taking care of us, she didn't care. As long as the bills is paid, none of that mattered to her. You know what I'm saying? And I guess rightfully so, because being in a predicament, I don't know if you would call it a predicament, but from a standpoint of having children, you might accept some things or tolerate some type of behavior.
Understood.
That you would normally do if your circumstances were different. You understand? So I think that played a major role in her kind of accepting a lot of behavior that she may have otherwise disagreed with had the circumstances been different. That goes with anybody. You know what I'm saying? We evaluate our responses based on our circumstances, and only a thinking person would take that type of approach. If you're not thinking, you would go ahead and just make a decision and then probably regret making that decision later on, because it wasn't in your best interest. If a man is sitting there trying to raise some children that's not his, it don't make it right for him to go do what he want to do behind your back.
True.
But he may have some type of guilt or feel some type of way about him being there.
Yeah.
And he knowing the children not his. And I'm speaking from my set of circumstances and not nobody else's. Let me make that clear.
Understood.
I think like I told you, I think my stepfather, when I look back on it, I think he had his issues came a lot with us not really treating him like the
dad.
father.
Got it. With the respect.
The father, yeah. So he did his thing. Fuck it. So he used to come on sometimes. He used to be mad. He'd say, one day I'm just leaving this shit. I'm going to leave all you motherfuckers. But he never left. You know what I'm saying? He never left.
Michelle.
Yeah.
What was his occupation?
Well, he was he worked for a waste company.
Got you.
What was the name of it? Like it was a garbage truck driver back in the day. They made pretty good money back in the day.
Yeah, I know. I heard. So if he was in a home, did the what made you go to the streets? The lack of love, or because you guys didn't have respect for him, so you can't blame him for not showing the love that he probably didn't show, because you said that we didn't really respect him or show him the respect.
He showed love as far as being there, but when you're young, you don't understand that. You can't make a differentiation on what he giving you. You just see him there. You know he's not your father, so you know certain things he's not supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Because you thinking from a child. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, feed me. Yeah, put this roof over my head. Yeah, give me clothes. But when it comes to you putting your hands on me, you're not my daddy.
True.
And that's coming from a child's understanding. It's dead wrong. But when you understand in life and you feel like someone is putting some type of pain on you for not doing your chores, when that's the right thing he's supposed to be doing, a child in the adolescent mind, he's gonna say, "You're not my daddy," or "You're not my mother." That's their first defense mechanism, and that strikes to the heart of the parent who's sitting there doing all what they can do for this child, to hear them say that. Now, when I got older, I found myself starting to appreciate him more.
Understood.
But I don't know if by that time,
maybe too late.
It was probably too late. The scars of hearing that maybe had sunken too deep, and you ain't gonna that's never gonna go anywhere. You can't put that genie back in the bottle. You know what I'm saying? It's released now, and it's gonna forever. And I know it's gonna forever be on his mind or her mind. You know what I'm saying? That, yeah, I remember one time you said that to me. So of course there's gonna be a separation. Yeah. So as far as having a parenthood in my home, it wasn't like my mother and my father, they was always working. And we came up in the projects. So the projects, a lot of people look over that with projects and really don't give it for what is the true value of what projects mean.
What does projects mean?
What project mean?
You asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
No, I asked you first.
Okay, but a project mean, it's simply what it means. It's a project.
I got it, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But we look at it as the projects.
As far as a different buildings.
As far as the terminology.
Yeah, I got it.
But when you look at the definition of project, it literally means a project.
Understood.
It means you being a part of a project about social scientists. Social scientists develop these projects all around America to study, and they can determine the outcome of you and me that's been raised in these impoverished neighborhoods.
Project.
That's why they call projects. Don't ever, and law they teaches us never overlook a word. Every word means something. You know what I'm saying? So when you go to the definition of a word, if you look up project.
Want me to look it up?
Yeah, look it up. Sure. And when you look up project, the scientific definition of project is what's really happened when you hear the term project being used around America. So read project, what it tell you.
Okay, the definition of project is an individual or collaborative enterprise that is carefully planned to achieve a particular aim. A government subsidized housing development with a relatively low rent, estimate or forecast on the basis of present trends or data. That's it.
Right. So when you go to school, you remember your teacher telling you, "I'm gonna give you a project."
I remember that.
You take that project and you have to kind of figure it out, what it means, what makes it function. And when you figure out what makes it function, you got to determine what its outcome from whatever you don't determine what what makes it run. You got to figure out the end result of this project. Meaning, if I have a project, I got to figure this project out, and I got to write a summary of it.
Mm-hmm.
We have social sciences in America, and when I say social sciences, these social sciences, they can determine the outcome of you simply by creating these situations all across America where you live.
Understood.
They call it social sciences, and that's what that's their job. They're gonna put you in the projects. They got these projects. When I coming up, we had the high tops. Across from there, we had the flat tops. Down the street, we had Skagville, and all in that area was nothing but projects. And we use that term project as a sense of endearment. My project, you hear them in songs,
but not realizing that we're
not
all part of a experiment.
a bigger experiment.
Yeah, understood. That makes sense.
And if you when you break the science down, and I'm not really breaking the science down as it should be, because I really haven't studied that in a while. But when you really break the science down, you like, God damn. You won't never look at that word again or use it in the sense that you used it before, in a sense of endearment.
I agree.
Because now you realize what your life has been to the powers that be for all those years.
You realize that you're just a pawn. Yeah.
And so they can determine, it's called a pipeline. Social sciences is that body of people that can determine how many people who's gonna make it to prison, who's not gonna make it to prison, who's gonna be unemployed, who's gonna be on drugs. All this come from that project. All these determinations come from out of this project. Who gonna go to prison? And all of these, who gonna be killed? How many gonna be killed? How many is not gonna have a job? How many is gonna have children and leave them?
Mm.
All these subjects is being determined in this project, and you sitting there and you're a part of it and don't even know it. So, when I was young, when you go back, if you don't have that family bond, and it's not to say that you can't have it if you have a step parent, because you can.
You can, yes, it's a fact.
You can,
Mm-hmm.
but you got to have that family bond to understand these things. And when I was coming up, it's we like barely 100 years out of slavery right now.
Mm.
Slavery was like in the 1600s. We in the 2020, so we might be 104 years out of slavery. So when I came up, we wasn't even that close. It was civil rights movement had just stopped, which was in the 60s. The 70s, heroin was starting to make its approach in impoverished cities.
Mm-hmm.
Drugs has always played a major role in the cities.
Impoverished cities, yes.
So, when you look at all these vices that's put in these projects, you gonna see it's gonna take more than a family to get you up out of there.
Mm.
They got an old saying in the old days where they say it takes a village to raise a child.
Yes.
So if you just thinking you can do it on your own, you may get some leeway, but you got to have your neighbor looking out. We used to have that when we were young, but now
I thought it was a Caribbean thing.
nah. Well,
What's your background, your ethnicity?
I'm American.
American. Okay.
People
so
think I'm Caribbean because of my hair, but I grew my hair in prison.
no. So that's the thing that was said. It takes a village to raise a child. That always was said,
Yeah.
even in the black homes.
But we
in
got
the
to get
South.
off this we got to get off this Caribbean because all us when slavery came, we all came from one place.
I agree.
They
Yeah.
just dropped us off in the islands. That's just how they dispersed us.
I agree.
But we all from one
Family, one
family.
line. I got it. Let me ask you a question, real quick, because you go in, and I respect that. You have knowledge. As a child, you were aware who your father was, but you didn't really rock with him. Is that what you're saying? That you didn't rock with your father? Was he not somebody who you wanted to look up to? Did he not carry himself? Like, was he on drugs? Was he
My
an
father
alcoholic?
my father was an alcoholic.
Got it.
But when I say I knew my father, I probably knew him later on in life. As a toddler, my stepfather was there, but there's a part of your life that you don't kind of remember. The part that you can remember, that's where you pick up from.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
Got it.
saying?
Mhm.
Now I can remember my mother telling me, that's your dad over there. My brother's telling me that's not your daddy. Your dad is over there because they was older than me. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But my father was abusive,
Mm.
which I believe was one of the reasons why my mother left him. But I don't know. She never. But I knew he was abusive. You know
Based
what
off
I'm
of what? Where did you know that from?
saying? My brothers and them used to talk about him, and when you're a child, you hear things. People think when your children are young, they don't hear and they don't see.
You don't
nothing.
understand. Yeah, got it. It's true.
But when you young, the motherfuckers see everything
And absorb a lot of
they
information.
absorb everything.
Mm-hmm.
I got it. My wife right now got her granddaughter, which is my stepdaughter. She got a little baby. I'm talking about everything she do. Her call her sis. Everything you do, and she ain't but one. Everything you do, she gonna try to do it.
Emulate it.
She gonna try to do it, and there's a lesson behind. And she's not the only one. That's just how children is. When children are born, they born into a new world.
Mm-hmm.
Everything they exploring.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They touching. That's what they doing. They exploring. You thinking they being bad, but they haven't really grasped the concept of being bad or right or wrong. They just exploring. And you applying your adult mind to their child mind.
Mm-hmm.
Stop that. You don't you're not supposed to do that. Nah, she don't know she's supposed to do that. She's exploring.
Mm.
She's exploring the world around her. She see all this shit around her and she just came from somewhere and she wanna know what it is. He or she wanna know what it is. So when you see her doing that, there's an approach. I mean, you as a parent gonna try to protect her because you know she's putting herself in danger. At times, but she don't understand that concept.
She don't know.
Yeah, so don't scream at her, and don't work yourself up because she gonna do that until she can start developing her some sense of what she doing, and then she gonna stop. You can beat the devil you want, and that'll make her stop. But
It's not the right way.
yeah, it's not the right way. So like when you back on what you were saying about children, you hear things. I mean, I sensed it, and
Sensing it, because when did you go around him? If you understand what I'm saying, like when were you able to see him for you to sense it? Because was it a situation now, coming up, a lot of the stepfathers don't, when they get into the house, they don't care about the daddies being around. You know what I mean? I don't know how it was back in the days.
my dad, my father never came around
So,
with my stepfather. Like I say, I always knew my stepfather's father. I never knew my father being
your father.
Yeah, my blood father, my
Biological.
biological father.
Got it.
I don't remember. I don't recall him ever being there, but I recall hearing.
But he never came around the house while your stepfather was there. He never came around the house.
Absolutely not.
Because your stepfather wouldn't have it.
Nah.
So you ever spend time with your father at all as growing up? Did you ever go to his house? Did your brothers ever see him?
Well, we went by his house, but my father, he wasn't. It was just like go over there and get 50 cent, and he sit up there and drink all day. It wasn't a relationship
At all?
Nah, it wasn't.
No knowledge. He didn't drop any knowledge on y'all or nothing.
Nah, man. My knowledge came from the old schools. I wrote about one in my book called Donnell.
Mm-hmm.
Donnell was an old cat. He used to sit me on the back porch and talk to me about everything.
A guy in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
So you're going through this, but you go to the streets like at a young age. At what age do you get your first taste of the street life?
Meaning what?
Whatever. Whether it's you say you was on what caused how old were you when you had the high speed chase?
I was old then. I was probably about 20.
All right, so let's go back. So so as we say up north, when did you first get off the porch? Go outside, become active, whether it's selling drugs at a young age, what were you doing at a young age that would be deemed not young age doable? That sounded crazy, Michelle? Pause.
I probably what do you mean, like crime?
Yeah, whatever.
Because fights always, I used to fight a lot when I was young. But as far as crime, I might have been probably 11 when I first started
Really?
committing crimes.
And what did you do, steal?
Yeah, I used to break in cars. We used to go to school and we had this, well, that was later on, but I used to go to school and I would steal the purses, all the white teachers' purses. Yeah, I would roam the halls. If she went to that bathroom, I'm going there and get that purse.
And what did you take out the purse? Money?
Yeah, wallet, leave the purse right there.
So, you're young, you're getting into crime. You started off stealing, petty thievery. When did things take a crazy turn for you as far as like you started to get arrested? What made you get arrested? When's your first arrest?
Actually, to be honest with you, my first arrest was for something I didn't do.
Tell us about it.
But that was later on.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? That was later on. But before I think I might have moved out of the projects when I was probably like 11.
Okay.
We moved out of Brown.
The whole family moved out.
Yeah, we moved out of Brown Sub and moved to where my mom's house is now. And when I moved over there, I met another set of guys my age. And that was kind of like a turning point in my life because these guys, even though they wasn't in the projects, they was bad as hell. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They was into more destructive behavior than I thought I was. You know what I'm saying?
More, but destructive as far as like stealing,
Yeah, like
more violent.
Yeah, more like stealing and violent, fighting. They was more territorial. You couldn't come in the neighborhoods, and
At 11.
Yeah. So when we moved, I think I went to a school called Horace Mann. Like a year after that, and I started meeting all my friends, and they were the first one that brought the idea to me to snatching pocketbooks. That was in the 80s. So we used to go to the red lights, and we would stand to the red lights for the expressway. We'd get off, and we would wait to see tourists, white people, and we would get them.
How was it back with white people and black people back in the days in Miami?
There was a real um, distinction between black and white. Blacks and whites did not get along. It was, and back in that era, you couldn't be white and get caught in a black neighborhood.
Really?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Would somebody get hurt?
Absolutely.
That was a trick question you were supposed to answer.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when I was around, I think this was May 80, we had the first McDuffie riot. I don't know if you ever heard of McDuffie riot, but
No.
it was one of the biggest riots that supposed to happen in this country. Well, a insurance man got killed, beat by some white police officers, and it was a big riot for about it probably lasted about a week.
What was that?
You can answer.
That's your phone?
Yeah, don't worry. I mean, you can answer if you want.
No, you can't answer it, man. We in the middle. Press the button if you can. Just press the button for him. Miami riots, yes, I see.
It's known as the 80 riot.
1980, yes.
Yeah.
Were race riots that occurred in Miami, Florida, starting in earnest on May 18th, 1980, following the acquittal of 4 Dane County Public Safety Department officers in the death of Arthur McDuffie, okay, a black insurance salesman and Marine. McDuffie was beaten to death by 4 police officers after a traffic stop. After the officers were tried and acquitted on charges including manslaughter and evidence tampering, a riot broke out in the black neighborhoods of Overtown and Liberty City. Riots continued until May 20, resulting in 18 deaths, 100 million property damage. Wow. You was around for that?
I was young though. I mean, I wasn't into that to the extent of how what happened. I was kind of like stealing in. I mean, we had a store on our corner.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was when you see these riots now. I think Miami back in that time, it was one of the roughest. They was They had caught some white people. They had them cut their head off, and there's some guys still doing time for those riots right now today.
What you mean cut their head off?
It was one guy. They was cut his head off. And they was walking down the street with it on the pole. Yeah, that was a rough riot, man.
No.
All right.
Give me a second.
All right.
Since the 1960s.
What was the death rate?
The death rate was about 18 deaths and an estimate of 100 million in property damage. The Miami riots
Calculate that to the day.
were the deadliest since the 1960s and remained such until 1992.
1992 was, I think the next one was
Riots.
Rodney King, right?
Los Angeles,
That's right.
yeah. So why did they beat him up though? I'll read it when I. So
You beat him up. You mean you actually. No one is thinking it's a race riot.
understood.
You're not thinking. It's not a question of why. It's a question of you feeling like you being mistreated.
No, what I'm saying is that what was their reason for attacking Mr. Duffy
They just stopped him.
and beat him up?
Well, one thing about it is you got to understand the same thing happened in 1980 is happening in 2020. What was the reason for anyone that's the senseless killing that's going on right now today?
It's a lot going on right now.
So the problem is not so much the officers that's killing the blacks, it's the policies that allows them to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
We have to understand being considered black, we'll never get no respect. I try to tell people black is not. I don't believe in black race, and the black and the white race, because when God created you, He didn't create no separate race. He just created you. It was one race. The concept of race didn't come into the 1700s with, I guess, that the first scientist was, I think his name was Joanne. He created that concept of races.
Mm-hmm.
And then races evolved from there and was broken down from into 5 categories. And the Caucasian race was the last race amongst that category. The black race was the first race. So that term black has a racial nexus to it that's way deeper than what you as so-called understand. You understand it. That's why you consider yourself black. You're not overstanding it. You know what I'm saying? As long as you understand something, and when I tell you again, always look at the words. If you understanding it, then you don't have a full grasp of it.
Yeah.
Because you understand it. You got to understand what's happening. Black is if when you look at the term black, if you want to understand it, it has a racist nexus to it. That's way deeper than what you believe, because everything associated with black has a derogatory definition. So when you look at this black definition of, they gave us that. They gave us this black description of ourselves. We didn't give ourselves that. You know what I'm saying? And like I say, that concept didn't come in until a Caucasian created that concept.
You said that.
You know what I'm saying? Look it up. Joanne. Look up his name. All you gotta do is look up who created races. I think it was in 17. Can't remember. I think his name Joanne Fraud or something. He was the first one to create the term of races.
Yeah, Joanne Frederick Blumenbach.
Right. Okay, now read what it say. I mean, I don't see it, but they're gonna tell you.
1972 to 1840. That was his life. Divided the human species into 5 races.
That's right.
In 1779. Later founded on cranial research.
Which is dealing with the head.
Of the human skull, yeah, and called them the Caucasian race. Wow. How you know that? Learn that in jail? You got some knowledge, man.
No, it's not. It's not. We have a term in Islam that say you have to study yourself to be approved. One of the biggest things in my life was that my life had to get taken away from me, for me to be forced to reflect on my life, and which ultimately I concluded that I had misappropriated my life for all those years. So just understand that for a second.
So it had to be taken away from you.
My life had to be taken away from me in order for me to be forced to reflect on my life, which ultimately made me conclude that I had been misappropriating my life, which caused me to be in the predicament that I found myself in, which was with them 30 years. Did you understand that?
I understand that.
So just imagine you appropriating your if you had $1 million, what would happen to it? If you had $1 million and you had everything set in your life, if you start misappropriating that $1 million, one day you're going to wake up and you ain't going to have shit. That money going to be gone.
Facts.
And you're going to be forced to look back on how the hell I lost this money.
Yeah.
And everybody going to been telling you, man, you blowing money. But you ain't going to be listening to them like everybody was telling me, or you're self-conscious. Man, you doing wrong. But it ain't till you're going to hit rock bottom when you've been misappropriating all that money until you're going to be like, okay, damn. Now you forced to try to rebound off that money. The rebound to get back that $1 million is not gonna be that easy.
Not at all.
It's not gonna be that easy. Just like it's not easy for me now trying to read back and get my life together after I done been down 23 years. You know what I'm saying? It's not an easy thing trying to create a new and better version of yourself. That's not easy.
So, yeah, I'm gonna be mindful of what I'm saying. You started being in the street, and this time, started off as stealing, and but you got incarcerated for being set up, basically, or like for some, as we call, work. But as a young kid, you were outside, you were stealing. Did you start selling drugs young, or you waited till you were an adult?
No, I didn't start selling drugs till shit. I was way in my dope. Like when I started selling drugs.
So you were just stealing. That was your thing.
Yeah.
Robberies.
Robberies, yeah.
It was like breaking and entering
No,
robberies.
I didn't break no in. Most everything I did was robberies.
Just like take the pocketbook stuff.
Yeah, I used to snatch pocketbooks and then until I started robbing more.
Robbing for real, robbing.
Yeah.
Okay, but you never got incarcerated for those type of things.
But I caught a case on robbery before. Like I said, my first charge was a burglary of a dwelling.
Of a what?
Dwelling.
Burglary of a what's that?
With assault. It's with if you break into somebody's house or whatever it is and someone is there
Mm-hmm.
and you rob them, someone is dwelling that occupy. You know what I'm saying? It's called a dwelling, burglary of a dwelling. If someone's coming here and we in here, it's we occupy in this dwelling. So that's like a it's a violent crime because you have the intent to commit harm if someone's in there.
But what brings your mind there to take it to that level? Like what is that trigger to, because is it because you kept getting away with robberies that you want, or did you want more?
Nah, I said that first crime I didn't commit.
You did say that. Yes, very good. That was a trick question. Caught you. Very good. You caught me.
Oh yeah.
That was very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said you didn't commit that. But did you get it? You got arrested for it? Did somebody tell on you, or?
Nah, it was one day I was young. One day I was going to a basketball game and somebody had done got robbed in that area. And when we was riding over there, the police seen us and they pulled us. And they took our pictures and they took it back to the lady. And the lady picked me out. It was me and my friend, which God bless the dead. She picked me out. And they knew the lady was lying because the lady had some kind of way she had trying to get some type of insurance reimbursement.
Mm-hmm.
So she needed somebody to
Blame.
And I was the one to blame. And what made it so bad about it was back in that time, you had a thing back where we would plead guilty to a certain crime even if we didn't do them. We just wanted to get out of jail.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did was I had been sitting in jail for like 4 months. And when they came to me told me to plead to probation, shit, I just pled guilty because I didn't figure like it would mean.
You didn't want to, yeah.
It would mean nothing. Then that same crime followed me all the way till I got to the feds.
That same one that you didn't commit. So, what? Okay, let's fast forward. At what age did this high-speed chase happen? What age was this?
I think I was 22 when the high-speed chase happened. 22 or 20.
So between that situation that you just talked about to 22, have any major incidents happened that was major?
What you mean, like robberies?
Anything major in your life that happened? Did you lose a friend? Were you a part of something that, did anything happen? Because I know you said at 22 you lost 3 friends in that accident.
Mm-hmm.
But did anything major? Did you do a juvenile bid? Did you do anything? Or
Nah, they let me out on that. That was I think. Well, what happened was they let me out and told me I had to go to Job Corps.
So they had Job Corps back in the days.
Yeah, of course. They sent me to Job Corps. They wanted me to go to the Army, but the recruiter wouldn't take me because the crime they said was too. They charged me as an adult,
Mm.
and so I had to go to Job Corps. If I would have completed Job Corps, they would allow me to go to the Army. That was part of one of the deals. I mean, but I got up there and started fighting and got kicked out.
Oh, I thought you ran away from Job.
Nah.
So, tell us a story about what happened with the guys, the people that passed away that time with the high speed chase. Tell us that story.
Well, we was out robbing that night, and
You just robbing. That's your thing. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
listening.
we was out robbing that night. Actually, we weren't supposed to be out robbing that night. We were just supposed to be out stealing the car. So we had done got tired of snatching books. We wanted something big, so we had a lick for Wells Fargo,
The bank?
the truck.
The truck? Okay.
But one of my friends didn't want to wait. So we figured we'd just go for a little ride. What we call it, bend a corner. That's what we was called. That's been one.
What does that mean?
Bend a corner mean, you just want to ride by and check things out. And if you
Scope.
scope things out.
Got it.
You're gonna bend a corner. If you see something, you do it. If not, we gonna bring it on in. So we were just supposed to just bend a corner, bend a few corners. If we don't see nothing, we just gonna bring it on in. And I don't remember the accident because I was unconscious for like a week. But the last I remember is us pulling off. And the next thing I remember was like 10 days later. All my friends were dead, and I was in
That's
custody.
all you remember. You don't remember like what led up to it. You don't remember what led up to the chase. Why you tried to get away. You don't remember that. You
And
didn't
I know it was a robbery because it was all in my report.
Oh, it was a report that happened.
Nah, I'm saying it's in the when they arrested us from the accident. I knew from there, but I don't remember.
You don't
exactly.
remember physically.
Yeah, what I read was the police had got behind us, seen us coming from the airport with our lights off, and he didn't know what we had done, and he was just stopping us to tell us our light was off, and we shot off from him and went head on with another car. So 2 of my friends in my car got killed, and the car we hit was killed.
Did anybody, but you wasn't the driver.
No. If I'd have been a driver, I'd have been dead. Actually, to be honest with you, I was supposed to be the driver because I was the most experienced driver. But my friend, which is I call my young brother, his feet was bad because his feet had got ran over in the previous robbery, so he couldn't really run that good.
What?
Yeah. So he was like limping. So we told him he wanted to drive and we was gonna do everything else. But it didn't turn out.
So you woke up? Would you wake up with handcuffs on your arm?
No doubt about it.
And what was the outcome of that situation?
Well, they was talking about charging me with felony murder at first. But I think the people who we had robbed didn't want to have anything to do with it because they thought enough had done happened already. And they said I wasn't fully competent to stand trial, so the state threw it out.
What did they find in the car that you guys took
The purses.
from the airport?
2 big white purses. The people were from New Zealand.
So your friends passed away. That must have been a big blow on you. I mean, you're the only survivor. When did? No, because in your story that we read that was in the paper, it was between you and the officer. But I'm not going to get into that yet. How long it took you to heal? Because you was unconscious for how many days? 10 days? A week?
Yeah, it might have took me like. What you mean to heal from? I didn't really have no physical.
You just was unconscious.
Yeah, I was just unconscious. I'm out of I went to prison for that too now, but I didn't go to prison for that because I was on probation for the. Remember, I was on probation for the burglary that I didn't do. So they violated my probation based on that and sent me to prison for like 4 years, but I didn't do but like 6 months. So I kind of like healed while I was in prison.
So, in some of the notes that we were reading, it said that at one point in your life you were robbing drug dealers.
Yeah, that's correct.
You were really robbing, like, was it strong arming or robbing, like, not giving?
You ever seen a drug dealer get strong arm?
No.
Okay.
Don't ask me trick questions.
I mean, but then, how do you ever seen a drug dealer get strong arm?
No. So, I just got to make sure, man. I got to make sure that you know what you're saying.
Yeah, I know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes, I mean, I'm not. When I started robbing drug dealers, I wasn't a petty robber. I'm not gonna go on the corner and rob, and try to rob no drug dealer. I don't rob corner dudes.
You rob.
Yeah.
But how do you get into that? How does that happen? How does that?
If you a dope addict and you start smoking less effective drugs, eventually you're gonna start doing more heavier drugs, right? You pursue things that you figure like they're gonna give you the biggest gain, the greatest gain. You know what I'm saying? So if you
Red Bull.
If you drink booze, eventually you're gonna look for a bigger high.
True.
You know what I'm saying? If you in the streets, you're gonna look for whatever you think that's gonna bring you the biggest gain. So when with respect to robbery, let's just be clear about something. A dope dealer, there's really very little distinction between a dope dealer and a robber. You know what I'm saying?
I'm listening.
Dope dealers just rob differently than someone else who's more brazen a robber. You may have a dope dealer, he might have somebody else set you up to get robbed. He might not be doing it.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? But he may have his friend do it.
Oh, he may have you robbed with him, and then he gets his money back.
Yeah. So the game is slimy.
But I want to know I want to know how you made that transition, because you did give me the examples of when you start things, it's like a high, right? Because how I'm looking at it is that, and shout out to Michelle for the notes. You were.
Who is Michelle?
This is Michelle right here. I'm trying to fire her.
Shout out to Michelle.
You were trying to, you go from being unconscious and hopefully you learning your lesson, but you didn't learn your lesson. You lost 3 friends. There's 3 people, 2 friends and the passenger or somebody else that died in another car. All this happened, but then you still go out there robbing, and now you're robbing drug dealers.
But see, you gotta understand, and you don't have to understand. Because if you understand, you ain't really understanding nothing. But when I was in the accident, it was really like I wasn't in the accident because I didn't remember anything.
Got it.
So that it didn't have the effect on me.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm not bragging about that, but it's just something that I didn't.
There was no lesson for you to learn.
There was no lesson because I didn't really feel. No, I didn't have a mental connection to what happened. and I didn't really even accept my friends had been gone until a long time after that. It's a strange thing. A memory loss is kind of strange, especially in a kind of setting like that, because even though so much had transpired back then when it happened, I missed it all. I missed the hurt, I missed the pain, I missed the funeral. When I woke up, it was like 10 days later, 7 to 10 days later, the funerals had done been gone. And I couldn't even remember what happened. I couldn't even remember what happened. So I used to go back and try to remember, but it didn't do me no good. I used to go back to the scene with the accident. I used to go to the medical examiner's office, and I used to look at the picture and see what I can find, connect anything with the
Nothing.
rest. I couldn't remember anything. So they used to send, when I had the accident, they sent me to a couple of psychiatrists, and one of the psychiatrists used to explain to me that part of it I would never remember. And he didn't explain to me why. I had to go back later on in my life and learn why that's so. And it's because the brain blocks out certain trauma.
Yeah.
In you. It's even like with birth. And I'm gonna get back to, let me just explain this.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Birth, when we experience birth, we come from another plane of existence.
Understood.
And the reason why we don't remember that plane of existence is because the trauma that we experienced in our mama through birth, the brain blocks that out. That trauma blocks that out, and everything you remember from beyond that. Because the brain is more has an intellect about itself, that it protects you from you. Because it knows if you see certain things, you would go crazy. So it wipes that part of your brain out and makes you well, it makes you can't remember it. It's like a blunt force. Now, when you get hit by something, if a person get hit, you got to remember they might go out for a second.
Facts. See black. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And when they come back, depending on the duration of that time or they blank out, that blank out period of time is that brain shutting down because they don't know what's happening. You know what I'm saying? Now it might wake back up in that split of a second when it realizes the trauma wasn't that severe. So in an accident like that trauma, when it hit, it blanked everything out. And I can remember it.
So this is why you wasn't attached to the situation. There was no lesson learned there. So you kept on with your life of crime.
And I knew it from a standpoint of knowing it was wrong, because I knew as time went on, the reality of what happened started to sink in more. But at that time,
did you have a crew back then? Were you with a crew?
Yeah, I had a crew, a mean crew.
What was the name of it?
They didn't have a name.
Oh, just friends.
Yeah, we just had friends. Like I said, we didn't have gangs in Miami like that. We just had neighborhoods. You know,
Got it.
You knew not to come in their neighborhood because certain guys was over in their neighborhood. But
how much drug dealers you would say you robbed?
I don't know. I can't put a number on a lot of them.
A lot of them? Now, are we talking about running? I just want to get a understanding of, when I read the notes, it
I
says
say about a handful.
Like, is it like that's two hands?
Yeah, 2 hands.
is it like running into a spot, or like is it those robberies, or is it like waiting till they leave? Is it and did you come off with a lot of money?
Sometimes. But every time, a lot of robberies would come from, like I told you, like drug dealers, all drug dealers rob. A lot of robberies come down from like drug dealers. Would put you up on licks.
So a drug dealer will put you up on somebody else to
Yeah.
get. Ah.
Yeah. And sometimes
Try to get rid of the competition.
I don't know if it's competition. I mean, I don't know what be going on in their head, but you know, in Miami, it's the dirty South. You know what I'm saying? Everything go on there, and the drug, and when you're selling drugs, you become you susceptible to getting crossed. Everybody is there. It's like everybody crossing each
No
other.
honor amongst thieves.
Nah, no honor amongst thieves, and that's if you believe you got an honor amongst them, then you in for a rude awakening.
Did you hear?
tempting-
Sorry, go ahead.
go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yeah.
You tempting fate when you think when you rely and trust on somebody in that type of world, in that type of profession. You tempt your own fate.
Did you hear about Convertible Bert? You ever heard of him before? Were you around? Did you know him back in the days?
Yeah. Yeah, I know Convertible Bird. In fact, in one of my books, in my book that I write, in my book that I write, all the names that of back in the days, I use as characters.
Understood. Were you friends with him?
Yeah.
What type of friends? How cool? Yeah, how cool? Sounded crazy. How cool? I know. How?
I
cool
mean,
is
just. I mean, we never hung out. That type of friend.
But you guys were aware who each other was.
Yeah.
So.
Where you know Convertible Bird from? Are you the one answering the questions?
Huh?
I said, where you know Convertible Bird from? Are you the one answering the questions?
No, I know him.
Yeah.
I know him. We were supposed to interview him, like a while ago. Yeah, sometimes last year, but it didn't go through. But I'm aware. I heard his name in songs and stuff too.
Good dude.
Yeah, Convertible Bird. I heard his name in songs. You're robbing and all that stuff. You outside carrying on. Now, how much time you've been incarcerated? Because you said you did 6 months out of the 4 years. That means the rest of the years you were on probation. How much time you been incarcerated before you got locked up for the big crime?
That was it.
It was just the accident one.
That was it.
So, what happened now? I need you to tell me that story. The story I read is that a cop, you were set up. I don't know. I'm gonna keep it real. Like, I read the story. It's right here. If you think, because this is what, when you see me look down, this is what we have your whole name here. We got the whole thing here. Despite you, for real, seriously, but and I saw the paper. I saw the article. So you was outside. You was in the article. But what happened with who was this cop? Who was he to you? Where did it stem from? I need the whole thing.
You just read it.
No, I want to hear from you. Come on, man.
The cop was.
No, I want to hear from you, man.
I'm finna tell you, the cop was somebody I went to school with.
You went to school when you were younger.
Yeah.
So was he a robber like you guys, or no?
Nah, he wasn't a robber.
So he was a good kid. You give him and say, yo, Flip, he was a good kid.
Yeah, he was a good kid.
Okay.
I might have ruined his life. Or his life might have already been ruined here, but he the one approached me. But anyway, you gotta understand, police are humans just like any one of us.
Facts.
But he went to school with us. With me, rather. And one day, I think I was leaving the car lot, and he seen me on the expressway and blowed me down. And when I pulled over, we was just bullshitting around. Like, boy, I heard you're a police now. Like, yeah, man, but I need to be doing some of that with y'all, getting some of that money like what y'all getting. Just bullshit like that. I said, well, I mean, what you got on your mind? He said, well, come see me. And that's how I kind of like started. You know what I'm saying? Just a little, trying to fill each other out. Who
Got it.
What you trying to do? What you trying to say? I think what happened was my homeboy had just bought a Mercedes and he took his rims off, and he wanted those rims, so we was giving him the rims, and that's how this conversation started. He had a little maximum back then. So he would when I first met him, when we first talked, he was like, man, shit, man, you know, if you know, I know how the game go. So if let me know, man, if y'all need to do something, you know, shit like that. You would just be bullshit. I'm like, man, you don't want to do nothing, man. Stop
Yeah, you ain't be
bullshit.
playing around. Yeah, you police.
Yeah, you police, man. I said, man, I ain't know, man.
I'm
you
outside. Yeah, I know that old school talk. Yeah,
So-
come on, yeah.
That's kind of like how it started. And I mean, he wasn't the police that long. I think he had really just got on the force. I don't think he had been on for no more than about 2 or 3 years. But agreed to take any man down. And he had a good profession. He was getting Officer of the Year. But it wasn't enough. So ask me what you want me to ask me about, because I don't really know what you.
I want the story.
Well,
No, you can't. You didn't just tell me. You paraphrased it. You said that greed would take any man down, and the people don't know what I read. You know what I'm saying? The people don't know what I read. This is the notes that I read as far as
read
that.
some of it. Let the people know.
Nah, I'm not reading it. That's not how we do up here, man. Nah, man. You gotta tell your story, OG, man. You gotta tell the story. I don't know. It probably is upsetting or something, but because you probably could have, you like a guy that reflects a lot.
Nah, it ain't upsetting. It's just, we did a few capers together.
Oh, so yeah, work. So okay, so see, that's why I was confused at. See, I thought it was this particular situation because the outcome with him wasn't the same outcome with you. Now, what I thought in my mind was that, did you really think that he was part of a crime or he wanted to do a crime, or do you think that he was put in position to set you guys up?
Now, I think he was put in a position to set me up. Because what happened was, to get back to how slamming the game is.
You remember, yeah.
Somebody set me up and kind of like got him involved. So he kind of like, on that cable, he was like innocent. You know what I'm saying? They was really after me, but in trying to get me, they got him. And when they got him, he turned around and came back and got me. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let me explain to you. He was corrupt.
He was a corrupt guy.
Yeah.
So, but and I'm sorry to cut you off, Griff, OG. The thing is, sorry, because I'm very, and this is
Ain't no problem.
something was wrong with us up here, and flip the script. Like, we like too much details. We like to know, some people tell a story, they're like, Flip, what you want to know? I like details. Like, all right, we saw him at the thing, we tried to trade rims, then we started doing some petty crime, not petty crime, we started doing some things together. So was it licks together y'all was doing, or he was putting you on and stuff, like he would let you go? Like,
No, it was licks. He wasn't like that. He was kind of he hadn't even been on the force that long.
yes, you said that, about 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, he only been on, and I kind of like he kind of like, I kind of like introduced him to the game, but through his own undoing. You know what I'm saying? It's like when he came along, I was like, damn, I can use him. You know what I'm saying? So we went on a few cables together, but we had an agreement to not really coincide each other. We see each other on the street. So one day me and somebody else sitting out in the parking lot in front of their house talking, and he ride by and see us talking, and he stopped, and he called me to the car, and I go to the car, and I'm like, man, what you want? And he said, man, you ain't got nothing, man. I need some bread. So I tell him, man, I'll holler at you later. So when he pull off, the dude who I'm sitting in the yard with, you know him? I said, yeah, I know him. So when I leave, we go to talking about how long you know. I said, man, I went to school with him. So when I leave, we chop it up a little bit more. This is an older cat.
Respect.
When I leave, he go in and call the feds on me and tell them I know police officer. That's how my whole case began as a public corruption investigation.
Wait, what? Hold. The guy in the car with you, the OG, called the FBI on you?
Yeah.
What he got out of that?
Well, what anyone get out of it? They working or some be on contingency fees.
So he was a CI. He was a central informant, and you weren't aware of that. Okay, so he called. And you told him not to do what you told the cop not to do that. You told him when you see me pass by. So when you went to the car, were you aggravated? Did you sort of like, what's up, or did?
If I was, I didn't express it.
Okay, but in
Wasn't
your
no
mind,
need to.
in retrospect, do you think that you didn't appreciate that?
I don't know if I didn't appreciate it. Back then, it didn't really even matter one way or the other. But I mean, I had told him that, but since he had done it, it wasn't like I had nothing ill about him doing it. You know what I'm saying? Because it was just shit. I mean, in our neighborhoods, it wasn't unlikely that we might know a police officer. We all grew up together, so some of them might go be a police officer. You know who they are by name. You know what I'm saying? But it's nothing untoward about it because you might know a police officer.
But when you're doing these robberies, what are you doing with the funding? Like, what are you spending on?
Well, when back then, shit, you know, I call up in life, clothes, clubs, jewelry, same old story.
You had jewelry and stuff, cars and stuff, women.
No, I'm on live. I can't be talking about women. I got women in my life.
Yeah, women in your life.
Yeah, but I got a woman in my life.
Oh, yeah, slow down. Don't get yourself in trouble, OG, because I ain't gonna help you. I ain't gonna help you. So okay, so you were caught up. Not caught up. I just tried to get you. So he does that. The CI called the feds. What happens next?
The CI.
Because they start opening an investigation on you.
They open a corrupt. Well, when they don't just open it up right then, but when someone call in and give the feds your name, they kind of like investigate it first before they open up a full-fledged investigation. So they might call the state. See, I was trying to explain to somebody the other day, the feds have no jurisdiction over anything that goes on inside the state. It's called intrastate.
Okay.
They have no jurisdiction to mess with anything that goes on inside. The feds, the federal government protects the land, protects American citizens from foreign threats. The only way they get jurisdiction to deal with intrastate is they have to go to the state first. So what they'll do is they go to the state, and the state will give them permission to investigate you based on whatever
evidence they presented.
Yeah. And so now what they do is once the states give them that permission, they go and they start their investigation. And what happened was the informant that initially called them on me came with a fake deal about he knew somebody coming from another part of a city was supposed to have a large sum of drugs and money. So when he tell me that he I don't know he's doing what he's doing. I said okay. I said yeah. He said yeah. All we need is somebody to put him in place and get to do it. So I said okay. I got somebody. So I go call him, the police. Say well you need some bread, man. I think I got something for you. So after we set everything up, after I set everything up between him. The guy that's coming down turns out to be a Fed officer. So the police pull him, thinking he's a drug dealer, but he's actually a Fed.
So wait.
Where you stuck at?
No, I'm not stuck. I'm just envisioning something. So there were a couple of because you had said something earlier where that the Fed, that the officer didn't. What did you said something earlier about the officer did not know, or may have not intentionally initially try to take you down. Remember you said that earlier. So I was just trying to figure out. So the CI, the one that called the police on you, he put you on to some drugs and money that's coming in. The CI that was in the car with you. You called the officer. And when you called the officer, you guys just needed the officer to be what? The front man to pick it up, or you guys were going to rob them?
Now the officer gonna pull him.
Pull him over.
Yeah, and it's called like a fake stop.
Oh, you was indeed. Yo, you had some. See, why you hiding? Like, I'm about to get at you. I like this guy. Come on, man. Why you hiding the story,
Nah,
man?
I'm not. I don't know what you gotta ask me what you want to know.
Nah, why you hiding the story, Rudy? You know you had the whole enterprise, and you don't want to say it. Like, I know you changed your life, Mr. Griffin. I know you changed your life.
We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to the change.
I am gonna get to. You can't rush the. Rush the greatness. I am gonna get to that. That's gonna be the final, the closeout. Because we got to get to the change.
Yeah.
Change, and I can tell that you changed, and I can say you don't like to. We can tell honestly, like it's like really pulling teeth. You know what I mean? You don't like because you have a message, and you're not one of those guys that glorify it. That's what I respect about you. So you really have me. You know, I mean, it's late, but you have me interested because you're talking about different things and understanding you were dropping some knowledge. But I'm still a person that likes details of certain stories. That's just my character. You can't paraphrase me. I'm gonna sit here all day and ask you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna get to the change, and I understand because a lot of people don't like because of your experience and you know what you've been through and what you've learned. I can tell you a man with knowledge because you learned and you taught, and you know. And people that go and change their life around, I notice that when it comes to the past, they don't really glorify. They don't glorify that because they don't want anybody that's watching or seeing them to know that you are. What's the word? Co-signing that, or you know, you're putting that on a pedestal.
But it's not only that. Is that once you come into an enlightenment about something, you kind of like want to leave that part of your life.
I understand
where it is, and I understand what you're saying because I expected this would happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not like I'm blaming you, but I mean I should be more prepared because I know we have to go through this first. So let's But it's just a thing of
I know you want to talk about the change. I see the growth. Trust me. I can see it because it's like pulling teeth, man. Like you had a whole string of robbery. Like you was a guy booking stuff, but you're just saying it like, you know, you were robbing people.
Yeah.
And then you had a whole enterprise with a police officer pulling over drug dealers. You had a whole shebang. Yeah. But you're not saying that. Like, you're just like, it was just, you just the cup. You know, but you did. Can you just tell us, you know, are we going to get to the change? The change is going to be the closeout. But the officer, you called the officer to do the stop, the pull. Now, the person that he was pulling was an FBI agent, yes?
Yes.
So it was a double whammy. So now what happened?
Don't none beat the cross but the devil cross?
Don't nothing beat the cross but the devil cross.
You ever heard about the scorpion, the turtle and the scorpion?
No, I never heard about turtle and scorpion.
Well, the turtle told the scorpion, they take him across the pond. Or was the snake one of them? And the turtle said, "Nah, you just gonna sting me." See, whatever you do in life, if you reaping benefits in life from spores in life negatively, it's gonna come back on you. I don't give a damn what it is. it's gonna in the end, it's somewhere it's gonna bite you. And that's what happened to me. I didn't realize it then, but I had them been doing all that underhanded shit, and I was so caught up in life and so and doing what I was doing, I didn't realize I was being crossed at the same time.
Would you consider yourself a grimy person at the time?
Yeah,
So you was grimy.
damn right.
You would set people up you knew and everything?
No. If you was in my immediate circle,
No.
nah.
Got it. But anybody that,
Yeah, you was fair game.
because that was part of the game.
Yeah.
So let's get back to the double whammy, the double cross stuff. So that happens, but what happens next? Did the FBI agent let the officer know that he was an FBI agent or no?
No. What happened was, remember that when I still said what happened was when the guy that set me up was at me, but they got him. Let me see if I'm explaining it right. They was at him, but they wanted really me.
Yeah.
But they figured the only way they was gonna get to me
It's to flip him.
was to flip him.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? So they went after him first, as opposed to going after me, because they knew they couldn't come to me like that. So they went after him. But the only way they figured like they can get me was they had to get him to approach me with what he, you know what I'm saying, with the law or something to get me tangled up. So what happened when he pulled the police officer, he didn't know this, and this is why I say he didn't. I
He didn't
kind
know.
of forget because he didn't know what was going on.
Understood.
I got him crossed up with respect to
Because you called him.
because I called him.
Got it.
And I supposed to have been sharp on my game to man, what's but I didn't really even want nothing out of what was going on. But I just knew he was fucked up. My other homeboy was fucked up. And he was kind of like fucked up. So I'm trying to just do something.
Connect the dots.
Yeah, connect the dots. Let them get what they want out of that. And I end up, you know what I'm saying, not paying no attention to him. And he all the time he trying to get me knocked off. And I got him knocked off, and he might have thought this nigga done got me knocked off. I can only imagine what was going on in his mind when they pulled him over and he seen the same police that he thought was a drug dealer come and tell him, come on, man, you know you pulled me, man, and went and took me downtown and had me sitting in the hole and said, man, I'm an FBI agent. So I can imagine what was going on through his head.
Thought you got him.
Yeah. So he came back. He didn't thought I got him, but he knew he had to give me some type of responsibility for him just fucking up his life. Now he can't be a police officer. All his credentials that he had achieved while he was there for those years going down the drain. You know what I'm saying? So the best thing he gonna do is he gotta try to save his ass from going to prison. So he come to me, like, I think it was like 2 or 3 months later. And I kind of knew something was wrong. I'm like, this motherfucker, man, where you been? Nah, man, I've been laying low, man. You know, the last thing we did, man, you know. Because it wasn't near about what he had done told me it was. That was another thing. It was supposed to have been like 4 keys and like I think $70,000. It wasn't near that. So he was mad because it wasn't near that, but he was all right because he knew what was going on. So I'm sitting home one day like 3-4 months done passed. I'm like, where this motherfucker at? I don't see the motherfucker around there who don't set it up, and I don't see him, and he just pop up one day. Yeah, man, I got something for you, man. I'm like, what? What you got for me? Man, I had to pull this dude over, man. He had like 10 bricks in the car. And man, let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell you the God honest truth. Man, everything in my mama, I knew something was wrong with this motherfucker. I knew it, man, but that greed. I'm like, God damn, I'm thinking to myself, He said, man, I know you know what to give. I said, man, I don't want that shit, man. I said, man, you know what I do, man. What I'm gonna do with all that dope?
I'm a sticker kid.
Yeah, I don't. What I'm gonna do with that? But he knew. But he knew better. He knew if I, whatever, even though I was doing that, I can get rid of it. But I knew everything in me told me that this nigga something ain't right. But I couldn't see because it was him, and I knew him. He lived right in the back next to me, right on the next street. In fact, my sister-in-law told me, nah, when it was a drought around that time, wasn't no dope out. So I said, I got a trick. I sat up one day and I thought about that shit all night. I said, I gotta get this dope from this motherfucker some kind of way. So I said, I got it. I came up with an idea how I was gonna get it. I said, man, he called me around. I said, man, what you want for the dope? He said, man, I want like, the keys was like 16,000 back then.
Mm-hmm.
15, 16,000. So I said,
No, it was 18,000.
for y'all it was 18,000.
Oh, okay. Griffin offered to sell the drugs for. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, that's what you offered to sell. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, so 16. Yeah. I see it. Sorry.
So I said, okay, man, I get it from him. But my thing was, I had in my mind, I knew it wasn't the feds. Because I knew the feds didn't really, I felt like the feds wasn't fucking with us because of what I was doing. Oh, I'm saying I'm robbing dope dealers. They feds ain't they fucking with big people. You know what I'm saying? I was on that false illusion for number one. And then I said to myself, I know I got it.
You gonna rob him?
Now I said I'm gonna rob him, but I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna just get the dope from him. I ain't gonna take no money. If he give it to me, they can't say I took it. Cause he giving it to me. That was my plan. I ain't taking no money up there to him. I'm gonna just go up there and I'm gonna just say, okay, but just I ain't got no money, man. Just give it to me.
And if he didn't give it to you, you was gonna rob him?
If he didn't give it to me, I wasn't gonna rob him. But I knew he wasn't gonna deny not giving it to me after he done came way up there to give it to me.
Got it.
He was gonna. Plus, we had a relationship. He was gonna give it to me, even if
Regardless. Got it.
So I was playing on him and banking on him and banking on that, which I knew he would, because I went up there and I was like, man, I ain't got no money, man. Now, you want to give it to me, I'm going to get rid of it for you. That was my thing. So like, man, nah, man. Damn, man, you killing me, man. I said, man, what you want to do, man? you want to get rid of it or you don't want to get rid of it? Fuck it, man. I'm gonna give it up. I want my money now, Marvin. I said, I got you, baby boy. Soon as I got in the damn car, I had just pulled out of the parking lot. County got behind. I had somebody else drive my car. I had a Q45 in. My whole world crashed. I knew right then I had not got set up. I had the dope in the back seat. It was too late for that. So they didn't pull us. They got behind us. Some kind of way they missed their turn, and we was riding up 27th Avenue. So we got on the expressway. They got behind us, and I had somebody driving. I told them to pull over. So we got off the expressway, and when they got out the car, they walked right to my door. I'm like, why these motherfuckers walking? I'm thinking, why they walking to my motherfucking door? I'm not driving. So when they walk right to my door, they tell me to step out. As soon as I step out, one of them grab me and lock my hand around and put me in handcuffs and tell me to sit in the back seat. So I said, I'm thinking to myself, I still ain't figured out.
It's him, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm still trying to play it to the end to see what's going on because who I got driving got a license. So they put me in the back seat and they looking around the car and the bag of dope is sitting in the back on the floor. So I see an officer looking there. He look at the bag. I'm like, damn. Soon they put me in the back seat. When I see him go to the car, I put the cuffs in my front. And now I'm watching. There's a police right here at the front door, and there's one at the car walking around.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm watching, but they don't have a cage on the car. So I'm watching the police, and when they pull around to the side, to the driver's side, he asked the driver to get out, and the other officer go in to the other side and pull the bag out. And when he pulled the bag out, the dude who was with me started running. So while they started running out, they trying to run him down. I jump over the seat and I start kicking the passenger door with both my legs. And it flew open. So when they realized I'm coming out the car, I was gone
With the handcuffs.
with the handcuffs.
How you got it off?
I saw them off. So I can find somebody and they saw them off. We saw them all together.
So how long you was on the run for?
2 years.
How did they catch you?
I was tired of running. I was tired. I didn't feel like shit. I feel like I was in Miami. I hadn't left town, but I came down one time for the World Series game.
What?
Which was in Marlins one time.
Hold on.
And
What you just said?
I came down for the Marlins. But I ain't really come down for the
OG,
Marlins game.
chill out.
But I was over there.
OG, chill. Stand down, bro.
I'm telling you. I tell you,
the-
man, I was over there with the Marlins game and the police pulled us. I was tired of running though, man. That running ain't no joke. 'Cause you got to keep hustling.
Did you end up did you take it to trial? So you blew trial.
When you say blue,
That means you were found guilty after you took the trial, or you just had a plea deal.
nah, you don't plead it 30 years. But blue, well, I had an entrapment defense. I had an entrapment defense when I went to trial, and what happened was they took the entrapment defense from me. So I had to, when you're in entrapment defense, you have to admit that you commit the crime, but that you were entrapped by the government. So it's like a two-pronged thing. Once you admit to it, the judge has to give the jury instructions that if you find that the government played a role in him and that person
Incarceration.
not incarceration and committing that crime, then
Okay.
you have to find that he was entrapped. And when you're entrapped, you got if the government come to you and induce you, which was the court admitted that I was induced, that they got to find you not guilty, even though you committed the crime.
Okay.
So once the judge, what happened was the judge knew I was gonna win, and the judge took my defense away from me. So what I was left with after the judge took my defense was that I committed the crime. The judge never gave the jury the instruction that I on the entrapment offense. And you know why? Because the same judge that had sentenced me for the probation in the state had moved over to the feds.
Bad luck.
I don't believe in bad luck.
Sorry. That was
No.
that was supposed to happen, basically.
Yeah,
Got it. Okay.
I don't believe in bad luck. See, because and I'm gonna just step right here for a minute. We can go back.
I like that
The
about
30
you.
years that I was sentenced to, and the 23 years and 2 months that I did on them was a fate that was put on me that I couldn't deter.
Respect.
So whatever was gonna happen to me, I don't care if I were to kick the scream or however. See, that's when you say bad luck, you understand this shit. You know what I'm saying? When you look at the overall picture, the shit I was doing, the life I was living out there, I couldn't last. Remember what I told you? It took for me to lose my life, for me to be forced to reflect on my life, which ultimately made me determine that I had been misappropriating my life, that caused me to be in the predicament that I was in.
Mm.
So it don't have nothing to do with bad luck.
Respect.
I mean, at the time when you're going through it, If I believe that, then we all of us got a job we got down here to do for God.
Mm-hmm.
You got a duty, whatever you might think it is, you got a duty. So if the judge coming down from the state into the feds,
It was meant to happen.
It was meant to happen.
I understand.
Because that judge was probably the only one was gonna save my motherfucking life. By she thinking she's destroying my life. She ain't did shit to me. I'm straight. But took some years away from me.
What I'm trying to understand is that takes time to learn, right?
No
Because
doubt.
you know when we're living that life as young ones, or you know, in our heyday, as you could say, we don't think like that. But that's time when you reflect and learn and overstand. You know, the not really. Is it like appreciating the cause you were dealt? If you understand what I mean, like meaning the cause you were dealt in life, you know, appreciating it really, or you don't like to use the word understand, or overstanding, you know, how to go about, I guess, being in tune with oneself, like being on the right path. Like, so the cause you were dealt as a kid or as a young adult, you know, there's two paths you can go. You know, there's some people that go the right path and there's some people that go the wrong path. And the ones that go the wrong path, a lot of times they don't take accountability. You took accountability, but they don't take accountability until something happens in their life, like whether it's jail or someone close to them or whether they have close calls, right? And the ones that do take accountability, when they reflect, they say that, you know, the cards that they were dealt, there were different routes to go, but they chose to, I don't know listen.
All that's bullshit.
Think so?
You know what a mistake is?
No.
If
If you're saying that's bullshit, I don't know what a mistake is then.
Okay, let me ask you, have you ever made a mistake?
A lot of mistakes. I make mistakes all the
where
time.
would you be without making mistakes in your life? You are ordained to make mistakes. That's what you born into an imperfect world. You got to understand that we in a spiritual warfare right now. There's a disconnect between us and our spiritual self.
But do you think that when you look at I made a mistake, do you think that's an excuse?
No, it's not an excuse because I just told you mistakes are ordained. It's what you make out of the mistakes. It's what you do from that point. You know what I'm saying? You can turn that mistake into a virtue. You know what I'm saying? The mistake that you make don't have to be a handicap to you. You're gonna learn from it. If you don't go certain paths in life, how you gonna learn? We just talked about a child coming into a world.
You did.
You know what I'm saying? The child is exploring. Our knowledge is finite compared to God's knowledge. If you raise your child, you know more than your child because you done been where he been. He don't understand, or he or she don't understand that, but you do. It's the same thing with God. God created you, so God know the mistakes you gonna make. You know what I'm saying? But and He know if you don't make certain mistakes, you can't develop into be certain people. If I never make the mistakes I make, I don't develop into what I think I am today.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
But you could have avoided the mistakes, right?
Yeah, but certain mistakes. But you're not gonna avoid all mistakes. And who's to say the mistakes that I avoid wouldn't have been that much devastating than the ones I made.
Okay, respect.
You know what I'm saying? We don't know that. You know what I'm saying? But you can't totally dismiss a mistake or each mistake because the simple term of it being a mistake. You know, those are ordained. We gonna make mistakes. You know, that's what corrections are for. We gotta correct ourselves. One of the most examples of that person is showing my mistake was Malcolm X. Look where he come from. He made a lot of mistakes, but look what he developed into. I mean, one of the proudest black men that became a model to black man that we have almost ever known.
Yeah, I agree.
He could never be. He couldn't. I don't say he couldn't have never done it, but
if he didn't make mistakes, he wouldn't have.
Yeah, those mistakes is what made him that ultimate character that he was. You know what I'm saying? Who gonna accept him or anybody for a point that they reach if they don't see that struggle? You got to see that struggle first. For most people, not all people, but if you're trying to get a point across, the best point is gonna be from if I'm giving you an example of the mistakes I made.
Where does mistakes and accountability come into intertwine? Do they ever intertwine?
If you don't ever intend to grow, then you ain't gonna never have no accountability.
Okay.
But if you intend to grow from your mistakes, you're gonna have some accountability. I did what I did. You know what I'm saying? Do I have some regrets? Of course I do. You know what I'm saying? But from that walk of life, while I was deep down in that mud, guess what? I could have been anywhere else. All the life and death encounters I had, God could have easily took me away. So when everybody was thinking I was this slime ass nigga and I was doing all this, guess what?
But you was though. You admitted you were.
I know that. But guess what?
What? I'm listening, OG.
God seen something better.
True.
And I hate to bring that into the equation, but there's no good no evil without God's oversight.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So while the next person might have been thinking this
pull the mic closer. Just pull the mic closer.
This way about me, God had a different path for me. The same as you do for you. You got a big platform here, which I love because you give me an opportunity. And you're gonna give a lot of brothers an opportunity. That's a platform that you got to make the best of, and you're gonna give a lot of brothers like me an opportunity to express themselves. But you don't, that's not coming through you. You know what I'm saying? You taking responsibility because the id takes control of you. Oh, I did this. Nah, man, it ain't you. I was riding down the street one day just recently. And I was telling somebody, I said, you think if you travel down a path and you run into somebody that's hungry, you think you just going down that path because you just going down that path? That's what you think? You don't know God testing you? He gonna test you. He's constantly testing you, just like the devil constantly testing you. Whenever you say you're gonna do something positive, you know what the devil say? Oh, you is? You think you is? Okay, I got some trick for you. As soon as you say you're gonna do something positive, as soon as you want to do something positive in your life, that voice creep right up in your ass and he tell you, nah, you wouldn't do nothing. And every type of way that voice that he can influence you to prove that you wrong, he gonna do it. You gonna hear it. And as soon as you do it, you ain't gonna hear that voice no more. You're gonna say, damn, you gonna be the one feel guilty.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? That self-accusing spirit gonna be all over you. So when you talk about a mistake and accountability, if you don't intend on making no correction in yourself, if you just continue on going through life making mistakes, you ain't gonna never have no accountability because you don't think there ain't nothing you doing wrong. You don't have no accountability. You ain't growing from shit. You just Leon Hill said anything not growing is dead. So if you ain't growing from your mistakes, how you living? You dead.
Mm.
You ain't physically dead, but there's a symbolism of death in you because you ain't doing nothing constructive. Even by your mistakes, you ain't learning nothing from them. So we all gonna make mistakes. Yours may not be like mine, and mine may not be like yours.
Understood.
But that's just how it. That's just how. I mean, we different. We have different responsibilities in this life. God put you here for a different reason than He put me here for. You know what I'm saying? So
wait. So that's it. I appreciate that. That was dope. No, I do. I mean, you dropped some knowledge. You know, a lot of us, when we look at life, we try to avoid making mistakes, right? But like you said, no one is perfect. You know, you're going to make mistakes. It's just learning from them, basically, which is what you're saying. Learn from your mistakes because God, you know, what is meant for you won't miss you, right? Is that a good analogy? Mm-hmm. Like what is meant for you won't miss you. You know, the journeys you go down is already written. You know, God has a plan for you and certain things you put in these positions to see how strong you are and, you know, how you will come out. You now, let's go back to you. You went on trial. They took your defense away. You end up getting found guilty, right? The cop didn't get charged with anything. He ended up being free. Did he lose his job? And after that, you go to prison. You get sentenced to 30 years. Was it 30 years to life or just, you know?
30 years. Well, life was the maximum.
Okay, but the minimum is 30.
The minimum is 30.
So the minimum is 30 years. So when you go to prison, do you learn all these, the way of thinking? Like, when did a change come?
It don't just come. It's over time. You know what I'm saying? It's like you say. It's the time that I spent in prison, I can't express in words what I've been through. No words I can sit in and truly express what I've been through while I was in prison. Prison is a awful place. And I don't mean awful in in the sense to say that it's awful with respect to being nasty. It's awful because freedom is a birthright. You know what I'm saying? So when your freedom is taken away from you and given to you as if it's a privilege, when you in a world on the streets 1 minute, 1 week, and then all that freedom you thought you had is suddenly taken away from you, and you put into an institution where every aspect of your life is governed by policies and rules and attitudes. It's a miserable state of being. So learning what I learned, it don't just happen. It's a gradual thing. You have to go through it. And I don't wish what I went through on nobody. You know what I'm saying? Even my worst enemy, do I wish what happened to me. But what happened was I couldn't foresee when I first got 30 years, me doing 23 years in 2 months. Because what they do is they trick you into believing, they trick your mind into believing and giving you a false sense of hope that you won't do the 30 or whatever the time they give you. And they tell you that when they bring you in, when you go through orientation, that they put you under hypnosis. Because like they say is, well, if you realize you the most smartest animal on earth, if you went in there and you realize that your freedom is a birthright that's being taken away from you, you'll go crazy. You wouldn't want to sit there. So imagine an institution around there that everybody know they're not supposed to be there, running wild trying to get the fuck up out of there. They wouldn't be able to understand. So what they do is they give you a sense of hope. And that hope start the moment you arrive. Because you think you're gonna get a bond, that make you relax a little. Then you don't get the bond. Okay, when you talk to the lawyer, the lawyer said give him to 2 months. That make you relax in the middle. Every aspect of it sends you, it relaxes your mind, it calms you until you go to fight your case until suddenly you realize, man, I done did 23 motherfucking years. And all the shit that goes on in the midst of those 23 years, the loss of family, the struggle with everybody, it suddenly comes at you at once. So when you ask me, do I learn all at once? Nah, you can't learn all at once, and it's a gradual thing. I fought up until the day that I was released.
What do you mean fought?
I mean, like, trying to get out of prison,
Gotcha.
doing paperwork.
So what made you get out? What helped you get out?
Actually my release date was my max out date is 2027. My release date from 2027 from that was 2023. But when Trump signed the compassionate release, I got on that based on my rehabilitation programs I took and stuff like that.
Because I don't want to push this, but were you angry in jail? Did you have issues in jail?
Issues like what?
Issues like fighting. Or...
Nah. The feds. Let me see. When I went, there's a lot of misconception about prison, and some of it is true, but some of it is not. You can your prison time you can make out of what you want to make out of. When I first got to the prison, Atlanta, with 30 years, my homeboy gave me 2 knives. Because when people think they know you, they have an expectation of you. You know what I'm saying? So the expectation was, this nigga here, we already know this nigga here, he ain't gonna take a lot of this shit going on. So let me just go and suit him up. So he gave me 2 knives and told me to keep one in every time where I be at. So I kept one on the rec yard, and I kept one in the dorm where I be at all the time. So what made it so bad was, though me thinking me had those knives put a lot of stress on me. Because now I had to worry about them knives, now I had to worry about getting caught with them. And I was putting a lot of stress on myself that was unnecessary. Nobody wasn't fucking with me. It wasn't that type. Even though it was a pen, there was tension there, but the tension was mainly between the population and the administration. That's where the tension came in at, for the most part. As far as the population, everybody got along good. So I didn't really need no knives, and he knew I didn't need none. You know what I'm saying? But when you go to prison, you got to make your mind up when you first enter what you want to do with yourself. Do you want because the same thing that's out in the world is in prison: drugs, gangs, whatever you name, phones, whatever you name in there, what going on out there, homosexual activity, it's going on in prison. So you got to make a decision what you want to do while you were in there, and that's gonna determine how you gonna do your time.
You wrote how many books in prison?
26.
You wrote 26 books in prison. Did you meet your lady while you was in prison?
No, I had my fiance before I went to prison.
Okay, so she stuck it out with you. Shout out to her. So you you wrote the books. How did you get the way that you're thinking now?
Can I get that back, huh?
So you gonna pass me a book?
Go ahead, I'm listening to you.
How did you get your way that you're thinking now, as far as like become? 'Cause I don't want to use the word woke. Some people don't like that word. Conscious of who you are.
It's a gradual thing. Like I said, you have to, you got to go through shit.
You did say that earlier.
Yeah, you have to. It's not gonna. It's not gonna. You gonna wake up one day, and you're gonna eventually be conscious. You got to study. You got to want. You got when God told who was that King Solomon was one of the wisest kings
I don't.
that wrote the Ecclesiastes. If I'm not mistaken, don't.
Yeah,
Well,
please don't put us in that. Don't put
Yeah.
us in those positions. You know people gonna kill us, man.
No, I'm telling. This is coming from me. But,
Yeah, but don't, come on,
but listen,
man.
but when you ask for something, what I'm saying is, when you ask for something, you have to go out and you gotta work for it.
Amen.
So if you think you just gonna ask for something, it's just gonna pop up and it's gonna be instant. Like we live in this microwave society, it's not gonna happen. So it's like the consciousness came from a gradual period that took me going through, being hurt, being run down, and you sink down so low and you start studying and you start clinging to things like religion. You know what I'm saying? And when you go to cling to things like religion, you meet people, brothers, that's been through what you've been through, and are able to, are willing to pass some jewels on the same people that you probably should have met when you were young. You meet them and you meet those spirits in prison, and they help you along, and you study, and you going through things, and the more you going through shit, the deeper you sink into your studying. You know what I'm saying? The more conscious you become, you start growing, you start seeing life differently than when you was out there in the world, and now you have to realize, okay, wow, this is why God put me here. And you hear it in songs, how a God like a solitary mind. You know what I'm saying? You will be amazed if you got, and I don't want to say it, but you will be amazed if you just set yourself in a quiet room one day, the voices you would hear and the spirits you would hear come to you. Especially if you have a platform or whatever you're doing. If you feed into it, you will be amazed at what would come through that tunnel that you open up. You'll be amazed. I used to be writing sometime when I'm writing my books. When I started writing, I would be there writing and it seemed like I'd be outside my body, my hand would be just writing. And I'd be like, damn, where this coming from? I was coming up with ideas after ideas after ideas. I used to be writing a book, and then I'd come up with another idea, and I would have to come over here and write some notes. So it ain't just gonna happen to you. You got to study. I didn't know shit about writing. All I knew about was robbing. But when I realized when I wanted to write, I started studying writing. And the first book I read was Sister Soldier book, The Coldest Winter Ever. And I loved that book so much. I like, damn, I know I can do this, but I couldn't do it just by reading. I had to go study. I studied all of my writing material I could study. Anytime I seen something about writing, I grabbed it. Anytime I seen something about religion, I grabbed it. Anytime I seen something dealing with like sciences, social sciences, I grabbed it. And when you shaping yourself and when you studying, you growing in life and things are happening to you. And you don't realize it, but you becoming a different person. Contrasting the person that you were before you got there. I didn't know nothing about Joanne Fraud, about Quranian and none of this bullshit.
No,
I don't call it bullshit, but you know what I'm saying?
understand.
I don't know about any of this stuff. And like my wife now tell me, she called me professor, jokingly. You know what I'm saying? You think you know it all. Nah, I don't think I know it all, but I just don't. I done had a period in my life, which is more than a hiatus, where I've been lonely, and I had to study. I had to comfort myself. And when you comfort yourself, God is helping you. He's helping you grow. So you will be a fool if to sit in there all that time and not come out and
Learn.
show no growth.
Did that growth that you learned in there, did it ever let you reach out to the officer? Do you reach out to him?
No. Not that I
like it.
wouldn't.
I like you, man. You're a funny guy.
Nah,
Why you did that? Why you looked at it like that?
Because I was thinking about what you said, and why you and when you asked me that, I'm asking myself, why haven't I?
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? It's not that I'm looking at like
That's real. That's real. Wow.
it's
I respect
I'm
that.
thinking, you know, why haven't I reached out to him?
That was real.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like I just got caught right then. You caught me like a
I'm pretty good at what I do.
yeah. I'm
Regardless.
like, and he caught me like, damn, why haven't I? But one thing about it is, I haven't reached out to him, but it wasn't like
You're against it. You're not against it.
I'm not against it. No. If I would be against it, then that would defeat everything that I'm sitting up here trying to convey to you.
Amen.
I got 3 motivational books that I wrote. One of them called Nightmares and Deep Spiritual Cleansing Towards Good Dreams. The other one called Turning Your Faults into Virtues, which is what I got on you so much about mistakes, because I deal with a lot of that in that book.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one called The Invisible Man. And the invisible man come from the concept, if I ask you a question, if you had the choice of 2 superpowers, to be invisible or fly, which one would you choose?
If I could be an invisible or a fly, I'd
You
be
had
a
2
fly.
superfly. 2 fly? You my man. Why you want to be invisible?
Just leave me alone.
Nah, why you want to be invisible?
Nah, it's not me. I just want to be a fly. I answered the question, man. Don't ask me. Don't double down on me, man.
That's a good thing.
I know.
Because
be a fly on the wall. I know. I look at it different as far as a fly.
yeah. But most people gonna say invisible, because but if you would have said invisible is when I would have came down on you. I don't have no feedback when you say you want to fly. You know what I'm saying? If you just said you want to be invisible, I would have came down on you hard, because you're already black and invisible. They don't see you. You know what I'm saying? They don't see
fine.
you.
Yeah.
Because when I was first asked the question, I chose invisible. Now I'm like, damn, we already invisible. Why would I want to be more invisible? They don't see us.
That was fire. That was fire.
And that's when I came up with the book, The Invisible Man.
You got a book for me?
Yeah, I got a book for all y'all. But you ain't finished your interview, is you?
No.
Come on,
I'm gonna give you.
You know what? Let me just cut in right quick. I really want you to accept it. I really thank you for. I mean, I know you say it's like pulling teeth, but you gotta. I mean, maybe
Nah, talk to me, man.
maybe the next one. I mean, you know, it is. I kind of like feel a little uncomfortable, because I want to know that I've reached a point in my life where a lot of things that I did that I've overcame, and it's kind of like I can write about it, but when it comes to talking about it, it's different. You know what I'm saying?
I can see.
Yeah, and it's not, and it's true too. You don't wanna give off the wrong impression to people that's listening to you.
Understood.
When you have a platform, to me, I want to use it. I used to sit up in prison myself and dream about opportunities like this, and how I want to talk to people. I didn't want to be talking about shit that, you know what I'm saying, when I was in my lower self. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to show the young people what the stumbling blocks that they had ahead of them, and that they could avoid them if they made the right decisions that I didn't have. You know what I'm saying? Even though I had a stepfather, you got to have just not a stepfather just for the sake of having a stepfather there. That person has to be into your life. You know what I'm saying? And that person has to know about his own identity in order to convey your identity to make you respect yourself. If he don't have those traits, then he ain't gonna do you no good. He's not doing you any good because he see most black men when they came up out of that 60 era, they had them been taught to so lowly by white men, till they didn't have respect for themselves. You know what I'm saying? So they couldn't teach you anything but not to, but give you a caveat, which caveat means a warning. Don't never get, like my grandma used to tell me, boy, don't mess with white folks. The white folks, they get their hands on you, they gonna do something to you now. That's what your grandma back then used to tell you. But now we got these grandmothers that's barely, they 30 years old now. They don't know nothing. They haven't seen anything but a strip club. So what they gonna tell their granddaughter or their grandchild? We don't start seeing a desire for reckoning until we see one of our brothers or black brothers getting gunned down on the streets. You know what I'm saying? But we got to get to a point where, as if you want so-called black people, we got to start looking out for each other, man. You know what I'm saying? So when you see brothers like me or brothers like somebody else that's coming out into the world from these prisons, not even just coming out of prisons, brothers, and it's some lot of brothers that's coming out of prison that need help. You know how much they gave me when I got out of prison? I was doing 23 years? $30. They gave me $30 and told me to catch a cab home when I get to the airport. So, you know, so the system has already been set up to make me repeat. So if I fall into that, then whose fault that is? Now, if you read this book right here, you're gonna read by Convertible Burt. Not in the real sense, but Sweet Prince of the Ghetto. You want to know about Convertible Burt?
I do.
Not the real Convertible Burt. This a character now.
Yeah, tell me about the character Convertible Bird. Tell me.
Nah, I can't tell you. You gotta read it.
Tell me, man.
Brother Burt was a bad boy.
I heard.
Bad boy, man.
You never tried to rob him, did you?
Nah. When you do certain dudes you respect in the hood. Certain dudes you respect in the hood. But what I was saying, man, you made me forget.
Nah, you forgot yourself. I'm not, because you were talking about Convertible Bird. You started smiling like, you know, this stuff about Convertible Bird you don't want to tell me, but I'm going to find out when I'm asking.
Convertible Bird is a legend. I mean, everybody know Convertible Bird. That name, there's nothing untoward about Convertible Bird.
Shout out to OG.
You know what I'm saying? I have absolutely nothing at all negative to say. The brother was a smooth brother back in his time. I mean, when you talk about the stunt what y'all see today, the brother was bad back then. Style, and, you know, I don't wanna. As far as
you don't want to give too much. I got it.
Yeah, I mean, he was a bad boy. He had a charisma about himself that was before his time. You talking about a dude that was riding in Rolls Royces in the 80s.
I heard.
You know what I'm saying? And ain't never robbed nobody. Not as far as I know. It just got it from
the mud.
Yeah.
What are these books you giving us? You're leaving us with?
I'm gonna leave y'all with 2 books. I didn't have that many, but this book here is Knock Knock, and this is Sweet Prince of the Ghetto. Now these books is part of. I told you I wrote 26 books. If you look on the back of this book, this is a series. All those books is part of the series.
The Holy Ghetto.
Now the last part you see blank is damaged goods gonna go there. I wrote that on my
Oh, hold on, man. This is
What?
You see, you holding out, man.
What I said now?
An infamous gang known as the Mercenary Siege.
Man, that's a fiction book, man. What you talking about? Infinite Gang got nothing to do with me.
You sure?
Man, yeah, that ain't nothing.
Nah, I don't trust you. I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna get at you now.
Now let me tell you something about this book.
Tell me, yeah.
Let me hold it.
Sure.
I'm holding a contest with both of these books.
Okay.
This book here, you gotta figure out who Knock Knock is.
Okay.
If you figure out who Knock Knock is, I'm gonna give you $10,000. This contest is gonna last a year. I'm trying to get everything together now. And in this book here, you gotta figure out who's blackmailing Worry. And it's the same. If you figure out who blackmailing Worry in here, you get 10 grand. And whoever the 100,000 purchaser of either book, I'm gonna give him a free lease to a Bentley for a year. So if you're the 100,000 purchaser,
I already figured it out.
you ain't read the book. How you figured it out?
We gotta compare it to people in real life. Yes.
Nah, you gotta read. You gotta read
Listen
the
what I'm
book
saying.
and find out who is Knock Knock is in this book.
Who's Knock Knock?
This is a mystery. This is a
Wait,
mystery.
hold on. Are we comparing who Knock? Are we asking who's Knock Knock is in real life, based off a real life person? Do we have to?
Nah. That's just these are just characters in the book. They
So
ain't got nothing to do-
I gotta read the book and find out who Knock Knock is. Is it Knock Knock, the person that's in the book?
Knock Knock is in there. You just gotta figure out who he is.
So at the end of the story, they don't say who Knock Knock is.
Nah, you know, see, it's 3 parts to it. You see, it's 2, 3, and 4. At the end of this, when you get to 4, you'll realize who Knock Knock is. You might anyway. And when you get to 7 of here, you might realize who blackmailing Worry.
All right, cool. Any final words before we depart from the people? Been here for
What time is it?
2 hours. We over 2 hours. I don't even know how we got over 2 hours. I'm confused. I don't know how we got over 2 hours.
What time is it?
It's 1 o'clock, man. We got to sign out. 1:30. Might be 1:30.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, here go a shirt, man. I'm going to give y'all a couple of shirts, too, man.
Thank you very much.
I don't know if you can wear that.
I wear extra large.
You can fit in it.
You gave me 2X?
No, all of them the same size. Here, Michelle.
Don't give him. Oh Lord, I'm trying to fire her, man. You can't give her shirts.
No, don't fire Michelle.
Oh man, oh come on, not you, man, not you, OG.
Don't fire Michelle.
Thank you.
So what does it says? Announcing. So Marvin backwards, right? Mm-hmm. Nerram Bookshelf. First annual 2021 Whodunit Mystery Contest won 10,000. She had that. Michelle had that in the notes. How the hell did you find that? I said, we giving away a Bentley? That's why I was looking like that. I'm about to get at you.
That when?
She had that in the notes. That you were giving away a Bentley.
Yeah. I'm trying to get all the details out right now. I went to the car dealership yesterday.
But hold on, before we go, give out your social media and stuff.
Well, I'm on right now. I'm on Instagram at Nivrams B.
Nivrams B.
Which is my name spelled backwards. If anybody confused, just put an S on it. I'm working on my website is theshelf.online, and I'm in the middle of doing that because it don't really capture the vision that I have for what I'm trying to do with this contest. So really, right now I'm just on Instagram. So you can follow me on Instagram. I'm working on more social media with my Facebook page and Twitter. but you know, it's a little hard trying to put everything together.
Don't worry, he'll come together.
Yeah, it's gonna come together.
We
Especially,
gon-
especially if I keep coming, dealing with. Take me a picture with Queenzflip.
We about to do. Hold on, I gotta sign out the episode first, man. Wait,
Oh,
wait,
okay.
yeah, man. Yo, so spell your Instagram for the people. Your name back with Marvin with a S,
NIVRAMSB
from Miami.
from Miami, Florida.
And how did you get up here? Like your son, was it your son reached out?
Yeah,
or something?
my son reached out to y'all.
What made him want to reach out to us? Did he tell you about us? Like, yo, there's a platform because you just came home last year.
Yeah, he told me, say, well, I supposed to know about it because I just came home. I told you there's phones in there too.
Oh, you didn't say nothing. You hiding.
Then I said everything that's out here is in.
Yeah, you did say that earlier.
But I didn't know. But I didn't deal with no for my son. This one.
Shout out to your son. What's his name?
Versace Mitch. He a rapper.
Shout out to Versace Mitch, man. We appreciate you.
He gave me. He said, man, I'm gonna holler this dude for you, man. I think he'll put you on. So he called y'all. And I didn't think y'all was gonna come through it. I had been waiting on y'all for about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
No, so.
I require a lot. No disrespect. I mean, you know, when my team hit me up, I get on them if they're not on their end game. You know, we had a lot of people that come up here, right, based off of stories that they gave us. And one guy came up here based off a whole fictional story.
For real?
Yeah, well, yeah. I had to ask him to leave, based off a whole fictional story, not knowing that we know Cameron and these, like, people do that, man. They like, you see you. I could tell it's more to it because you held a lot back until I pulled the teeth. And then you're like, oh, yeah. So now all of a sudden you want to admit to having a whole robbery enterprise and you had a whole shit going on. But all right, cool. But you know what I'm saying? But people, sometimes they do that. So they have to go to the extent. But I definitely want to commend you and shake your hand for being patient and coming up here, man. I really appreciate it, man. I really appreciate your kind words about my team. You know what I'm saying? It means a lot because I'm trying to get rid of all of them. But it looks like they get to stay again.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. No, I mean, you ain't gonna. It's hard to find hard work, man. People,
Yeah.
loyalty is mostly is over. It's not overcompensated. It's undercompensated. So when you find somebody that's loyal to you, you gotta show them you love, man. You can't even on a joking level, because you just ain't gonna find loyalty too many places, man. People say they loyal, and they don't be loyal, man. You know what the greatest trick the devil ever pulled?
Tell me.
Was convincing the world they didn't exist. So people can tell you what they want. Satan is the father of lies.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And persuasion is the core of every lie. Once a person can persuade you into believing something, you're gonna believe because it seems fair seeming, and that's what the devil thrives on. You know what I'm saying? So when someone just because somebody say they loyal, don't mean they loyal. He just good at persuasion. And when you find somebody that's loyal, you gotta keep them by you because they rare.
Appreciate that.
They're rare. And I say that because Bassy, and I don't know him, and from a can of worms, but the guy was professional to me, and I almost gave up out of patience. Meaning, and I know he probably heard in my voice, but he stayed professional, and that forced me to stay professional and humble. You know what I'm saying? So everybody else would say, well, man, fuck it then, man. You know what I'm saying? Because even though there's reciprocity here, you know what I'm saying, my desire is more greater than his. You guys here will have the platform. You know what I'm saying? You let me in, so that's why I appreciate it. And I appreciate Bassy, and
You gave him a hard time?
Did I give him a hard time? Nah, but I can sense I could. I'm real. From being in prison, I have a short tolerance.
Understood.
You know what I'm saying? But when I hear his voice, if I see, like when I went to the hotel, I'm about to get into it with the dude because everything he's saying to me is not making any sense from what I done heard from him. So my tolerance level is short. So the more you respond to me, it's how it's gonna determine how I'm gonna react.
Respect.
You know what I'm saying? So if my voice may rise, my tempo may rise, but if yours don't rise with mine, then that's telling me I'm wrong. I gotta fall back, and that's when, and I can see it when I was talking to him, and I'm like, okay, well, so what? And he never, his tone always stayed professional. And that's what the guy at the hotel too. He said, no, y'all. So I couldn't.
I book a lot of people there.
He told me.
How was the room? The room is nice.
The room was nice. In fact, I gave the guy, the teller, 2 books.
That's dope. That's dope.
I gave him
The
2
room, the room is, and that's the thing. Cause I called because I'm a Discoverist member there. So, you know, the people back in Chicago, the headquarters, I've done business with them before. So they have to treat, you know, once Baskey, you know, something wasn't making sense. I had to call. I have a personal direct line to the general manager, and he looked and he said, "Nah." He looked in the computer. I'm just talking to them. I didn't call the hotel. I called the personal number. Then I found out. I said, "All right, it's good."
You know, y'all know, I'm on one last thing. You know, I just got to put him on supervised release. So when he called me, I said, "Man, I can't come up there, man. I'm still on supervised release." So I had to call my probation officer and run about her to let me come out of town. And when I ran about her, to my surprise, she was like, "Oh, okay, that sounds nice, you know, yeah." So that's how I was able to come. So if y'all don't see me, she don't cross me out. She don't cross me.
Yeah, listen, it's Queenzflip, man. Thank you for tuning in, man. Get well, G Money. We can't wait. This episode 188. Shout out to Baskey. Shout out to Michelle. They look like they survive again. Shout out to my man Marvin Griffin. And, you know, wonderful person. I appreciate you. Man, listen, man. Lock your doors, close your windows, close your blinds, open your blinds. If you see a man like Marvin on your lawn, put it away. It don't mean no harm. But prepare to sit down in your living room because he will talk to you all night long. I'm from Queens.